Well, that's not clear. The language that we've got in the scriptures, which is really all we've got to go on to talk about last things, is highly imaginative picture language, and so it doesn't set out any sort of chronology of events. It doesn't tell us how long the human race is going to last, 1,000,000 years or 1,000 years or whatever. It just tells us that it's all going to end up good. And we've got rich literary descriptions of what that goodness consists in, but no account of the timeline.
Does all this sound pretty good to you, Leon?
Sounds wonderful. It's somewhat above my salary level. but it seems to me, to get back to your thing, we have a working theory of the origin of the universe. It's somewhat consistent with the data. We have lots of things we have to learn about it. We will learn these things. Our progress is very good. And 100 years from now, maybe this theory of everything won't do. It will tell us that the universe began, that the laws of physics dictated this particular expansion, that the laws of physics brought us eventually to the existence of galaxies and stars and one inconsequential solar system with one minor planet, and out of the oceans crawled us eventually. All of this could come out of this theory. And therefore, I think that theory then, if it really is a theory of everything, ought to be able to confidently predict the end of the universe as far as the physical universe is concerned. And I'm sure that humanity will not be around to witness that, because all kinds of rather unpleasant things will happen in between. That doesn't mean that we should...
That's the standard model.
That's the standard model. I don't think it means we should be discouraged, because what we've created, our own institutions, our own passions, our own love, our own enthusiasms, will continue for really the unforeseeable future of humanity.
Wendy, do you think about theological issues ever when you're looking at your photographs and data from the heavens?
I think when you look at the data from the heavens, it's hard not to be to have a sense of wonder and amazement that we live in a universe that can be described by physical laws, that can make predictions, that we can ask questions about the origin of the universe and its ultimate fate. And I agree with Leon. I think that ultimately we may come to a theory that will allow us to describe those things. I don't like the name, the theory of everything, because I think it will describe a particular set of things and ultimately maybe be linked to other questions about consciousness and other unsolved problems right now.
Let's take a final question and look, as you said, 100 years into the future, and ask, will there be a final theory of what will happen at the end of the universe? Frank?
I think there will be. I think that the known laws of physics are sufficient to tell us what the future of the universe will be. That if the universe were to expand forever or accelerate, then black hole evaporation would give rise to a violation of a very fundamental law of quantum mechanics called unitarity. I'm sure that can't happen, so I'm confident that the universe will expand to a maximum size and then recontract into a final singularity.
That's not something a theologian can speak to, unless, of course, the end of the world, in my sense, comes much sooner than 100 years from now, but I doubt it.
Andre?
I think that if we want to understand the end of everything, then one of the things which we should understand first, the end of every and each of us. And in particular, one of the things which is necessary to understand is indeed the nature of consciousness, which is kind of out of the bracket in all of this, in all of our discussion. I do think that science must attack the problem of consciousness much more seriously than it does right now, and do not insist that in order to describe consciousness, the only thing which we need to know is how to describe electrons and protons and other matter fields from which we are built.
This program is designed between two poles, cosmology and consciousness, because that's what I think are the two critical questions of humanity. Wendy?
I think as a scientist, I can't really answer your question because I can't predict the future. But if I were to take a guess, this may be one of the questions we will debate for a long time. And I think what we're seeing in this panel is we're getting to a point where many of these ideas can't be tested, and we're reaching the point of theories where you can make predictions that aren't amenable to scientific tests.
Not ever?
Now, it may well be that in 100 years we will have the means to test those, and that doesn't bother me. That's fine, as long as we can eventually test things. But there may be some things that aren't.
Well,
Yeah, I'm close to that. I think at the moment, if you take all the data and you take the best synthesis we have, there will be the heat death, there will be the entropy will expand. On the other hand, 100 years from now, we'll learn a lot more, and if our educational system improves, we'll have hundreds and hundreds of brilliant
You
scientists
may help to do that.
thinking hard about this question, and maybe there'll be some alternatives. There are already, fragmentary ideas about totally different alternatives for the future.
so you got to make a lot more Wendy's.
Yeah, right. I'm in favor of that.
In particular, do you know that there exist some theories about the possibility of creating a universe in a laboratory?
Yes.
And that's not a
We're
science
very
fiction.
careful.
Yeah.
It makes you take a deep breath. Current data suggests the universe is accelerating and expanding, leading ultimately to evaporation and nothingness. But there may be an infinite number of universes, each bringing forth other universes continually without end. Remember what Einstein said about the universe? Make it as simple as possible, but not simpler. It's also overwhelming, but I'm oddly intrigued about something else. How is it possible for us to have such vast understanding after only a few hundred years of effective science? Some say the more we learn about the universe, the more pointless it becomes. When we look further, maybe we'll be closer to truth. I'm Robert Kuhn.